The island of Sodor has many railway lines, so Sir Topham Hatt, the controller of the Sodor Railway, needs many engines, but not all of them are the same. There are steam engines, small steam engines like Thomas, Percy, and Toby. There are also large steam engines like Gordon and Henry. There are also medium-sized engines, such as Edward and James. But not all of the engines are steam engines. There are diesel engines too, good ones such as Mavis, Daisy, and Boko. But there are bad diesels too, like Diesel, Airy, and Bert. At the end of the day, when work is done, the engines go to their sheds, but their sheds are not all in the same place. Thomas, Henry, Edward, James, Gordon, and Percy's sheds are all at Tidmouth. Tidmouth has the best railroad sheds on the island. The engines there all have their nameplates above their sheds. Toby has his own little shed over at Arlesdale. And Diesel, Daisy, Mavis, Boko, Airy, and Bert's sheds are at Knapford. They have the same building design as Tidmouth, but they aren't as nice looking. The sheds are falling apart. The sidings on the edge of the sheds have no buffers to prevent derailing, and they have nameplate holes but no nameplates, and one of the tracks leads into a ditch. But Mavis, Daisy, and Boko don't mind. They're glad to have a place to call home. Toby is often by Knapford sheds and gets news from the diesels and tells it to the engines at Tidmouth, and from Tidmouth back to Knapford. However, Diesel, Airy, and Bert don't like the constant visits. One day, Percy was gathering coal trucks at the yard. He had them all in a line and was ready to pull them out of the yard when Diesel crept in. Percy hadn't noticed his coming. Diesel saw Percy, though, and a chance of trouble. He charged at Percy's trucks and knocked him off the rails.
Hey!
But Diesel just laughed and rolled out of the yard, leaving Percy with a mess. Meanwhile, Gordon was at the coach yard getting ready to take out his express, but he realized the brake coach was gone. "Where's the brake coach?" Then he saw Airy and Bert running around the yards with it. So Gordon had to chase after them, therefore was late with the express. So when he got back to Tidmouth, the other engines were already there. Toby was refilling his tank for the water tower at Arlesdale was running low, too low for even his little tanks. Gordon was still cross.
Airy and Bert stole my brake coach and I was delayed for the express.
And Diesel knocked my trucks over.
Those diesels are so much trouble.
Hey, be glad they're not all the diesels so bad. Think of Boko, Mavis, and Daisy.
And be glad Diesel 10 isn't here.
That's for sure. What do you mean? He hasn't been here for over a decade.
Actually, he's been here pretty recently.
He has?
Oh yeah, that's right. You were gone during his return. Well, I'll start from the beginning. First, do you know who Lady is, Edward?
You mean the lost engine who keeps us steam engines in existence?
Yep, that's the one.
How did you know about her? I didn't before.
I've worked longer than you have, don't forget.
Well, when Diesel 10 found out about
No
her...
need to say, or you wanted to destroy her and taste her.
Yes, but fortunately for us, she managed to escape, but crashed and used up all her coal in the process. Her caretaker... am I still telling you things you already know, Edward?
Not this much detail. Go on.
So, Lady's caretaker, Burnett Stone, hid her away in Muffle Mountain, a mountain not far from Shining Time. You know, where Mr. Conductor lives.
Ah, yes.
So, though Lady was safe from harm, Mr. Stone couldn't find the right sort of coal to use to make Lady steam, though he tried all the coals in the Indian Valley area. Years later, Gordon and I were collecting passengers when suddenly Diesel 10 rushed by. He had returned. He had come back to find Lady. It was at this time that the younger of us found out about Lady. This all happened when Sir Tom Hatt was about to leave for his holiday, and Mr. Conductor was going to look after us. You had just been sent to be mended.
Was that when James caused the accident with Percy and the car wagon?
Yes. And I was still serving time in my shed when Diesel 10 arrived.
So, anyway, Diesel 10 found his sidekicks Splatter and Dodge and got them back working for him. Then, one night, Diesel 10 attacked Tidmouth's shed. Mr. Conductor tried to disappear, but he didn't have enough gold dust. Fortunately, he had a bag of sugar, which he managed to scare Diesel 10 away with. But Mr. Conductor still was without gold dust. A few days later, I was collecting Special Island of Soda coal for Henry.
I had boiler ache.
I gathered 6 trucks, but obviously the last one didn't couple, and rolled back and threw some magic buffers, but I couldn't find it at first. Percy and I had previously concluded that Mr. Conductor traveled from Shine Time to Sodor on a secret magic railway belonging to Lady. We now concluded that the buffers I had lost the truck at were the buffers that led to the railway.
Thomas told me to protect the buffers from Diesel 10.
Why you?
That's what I asked Thomas. He said because I'm a brave Indian. So I went back to check the buffers and found that Splatter and Dodge had already found them. Fortunately, neither of them were willing to go through them, but unfortunately they planned to tell Diesel 10 the next day. I hurried back and told Thomas everything.
And the situation was even more dire since Mr. Stone's granddaughter, Lily, was on the island and needed to get back to Muffle Mountain. We weren't sure how Lily could get back without Goldust or Lady. But then Mr. Conductor suggested I take Lily myself to the railroad, through the buffers. I was reluctant at first, but then decided to try. I went right to the buffers. I felt sort of nervous still as I knew them, but declaring that little engines can do big things, I went through the buffers and onto the railroad. We found the coal truck and brought it to Muffle Mountain. It turned out that the soda coal worked wonders for Lady, and we all traveled back to Soda. But as soon as I got back, Diesel 10 found us and another chase was on. This time, I was in the middle of it, and Mr. Stone was determined to not let Lady down again.
What about Splatter and Dodge?
They stayed behind and didn't get involved. Diesel 10 chased us to the viaduct, which was beginning to crumble, we think due to the lack of gold dust. Lady managed to cross, but the bridge was beginning to become even more unstable. Just as I crossed, 2 large portions of the bridge collapsed, leaving a large gap of track. Diesel 10 rode onto the viaduct. He was too heavy and the track collapsed. Peachy managed to catch one of the sleepers of the remaining track. But it broke off.
Then what happened?
He landed in a barge of sludge at the bottom. Then, Burnett, Lady, and I joined back with Mr. Conductor, Lily, and a few others who were with us. Mr. Conductor's cousin Junior, an Indian Valley local boy named Patch, and his dog Mutt. Once we did, we managed to figure out how to make more gold dust. We combined colorful shavings that Lady emitted when she was on the magic railroad with well water, and Lily threw it up into the air, and it turned into gold dust. Thus, Diesel 10 was defeated, Lady the Lost Engine was found, and the gold dust was replenished.
I'm glad the gold dust was replenished, and that Lady was found, and especially that Diesel 10 was defeated. By now, Toby's tanks were full and the turntable was set. So then he went off to his shed. The next day, everything went well. The trains weren't late, there were no accidents, and Diesel, Ari, and Bert remained well behaved. Everything did indeed go well, that is, until that evening. Edward had finished his day's work and was resting in a siding before returning to Tidmouth. Diesel 10 had been on his mind all day, and still was now. I'm glad he's gone again. I hope he doesn't come back. But just then, who should come around the corner but Diesel 10? He was followed closely behind by Splatter and Dot. They were gone as suddenly as they appeared. I hope he didn't see me. They didn't see him. They were too busy looking for a shed. They had tried the smelters, but the sheds were closed. Then they tried Farquhar sheds. Diesel 10 backed into a shed, but before he was halfway in, he couldn't go a wheel's turn more.
These sheds are too small.
So they kept looking. Next they tried Knapford. All the diesels were there. Diesel 10 had heard that some of the diesels were friendly to steam engines.
All steamy lovers have to leave the sheds, or else.
Since Boko, Mavis, and Daisy were good diesels, they admitted, not that it was bad, that they were friendly with steam engines. Diesel, Ari, and Bert had nothing to admit.
Splodge, move on to the siding so that the steamy lovers can be on their way.
Boss, it's, Splatter.
And Dodge.
We've been through this before. I don't have time for both names. Now, both of you get onto a siding each so the steamy lovers only have one way to go. Away.
Yes, sir.
And watch out. The sidings don't have buffers.
Well, we have to go.
Will we ever come back?
I certainly hope so.
So, one by one, the good diesels left. First Boko, then Mavis, then Daisy. And Diesel 10, Splatter, and Dodge moved into their sheds.
So, let's get acquainted. I'm Diesel 10, and these are my sidekicks.
I'm Splatter.
I'm Dodge.
And you other three are?
I'm Diesel. I'm Ari.
And I'm Bert.
Bert and Ari. I'll call you Barry for short. The names I have to say are increasing as they are. Diesel, you can say Diesel.
So the introductions were complete. Meanwhile, the other diesels had to find places to stay. Boko stayed on a siding. Mavis slept at Farquhar. And Daisy stayed in the carriage yard. While they were searching, Edward had arrived back at Tidmouth. Toby was there again. Edward was about to tell him what he had seen when Sir Topham Hatt drove up in his car.
I have bad news. Diesel 10 has returned.
I've seen him. Splatter and Dodge were with him.
And they've run Boko, Mavis, and Daisy out of the sheds.
Now, the engines took the news surprisingly well. Okay, so they didn't take it right at all. Actually, they were so panicked that Sir Topham Hatt had to blow his car's horn to restore peace.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
The engines were very quiet after Sir Topham Hatt left. No one knew what to do.
Any ideas?
Well, I'd better go and investigate this matter, since I missed Boko, Daisy, and Mavis being run out, and there might be more that we should know that we don't know. Yet. Meanwhile, at Knapford, Diesel 10 was plotting. Diesel, Airy, and Bert had told him about the steam engines living at Tidmouth Sheds, and how much better their accommodations were than theirs.
I have an idea. Tonight, we'll attack Tidmouth Sheds. Barry, you'll attack from the right. My right, the direction I'm currently facing. Splodge, you'll attack from the left. Diesel, you'll attack with me from the middle. Once the Seamers are gone, we shall take over Tidmouth.
However, Toby arrived without anyone noticing. He listened until he caught the important news, and then rushed to Tidmouth Sheds. He arrived just as the engines were about to be shut up for the night. He told them all about the plot, so the steam engines evacuated. Thomas slept at Farquhar with Mavis. Edward and Henry slept behind Tidmouth Sheds, where the Diesels couldn't see them. Gordon slept at Bradham Docks. James slept in the freight yard. And Percy stayed at Tidmouth Sheds. He decided that with his shed being the last going from left to right, perhaps the Diesels would overlook it. By the time all the steam engines had been settled, the Diesels had left Knapford and were rushing toward Tidmouth.
Our steam engines are in the backyard. I'll rip off our wheels before my
They soon arrived at Tidmouth. The Diesels took their positions.
Alright, steam engines, other shed or we'll make you get out.
There was no answer.
Okay, you asked for it. You first, puffball. What? It's empty. So is this one.
Yes, every shed he checked was empty.
No. Why bother? All the other sheds are empty. Why shouldn't this one be empty? We'll try again tomorrow.
And disappointed, they left. The next day, Edward brought workmen to repair the doors. The Diesels tried again that night, but the sheds were empty then too. Once again, the doors were repaired. Then, that night, Percy decided he should stop taking chances and left Tidmouth Sheds and joined Mavis and Thomas at Farquhar. It was a good thing too, for Diesel 10 finally checked the shed, only to find it empty. Then the Diesels returned to the shed.
I've come to a conclusion. Since we can't catch the Seamies at night, we'll catch them during the day, starting tomorrow. Until then, I'm going to shed.
The next day, the doors, as you guessed, were repaired once again. Meanwhile, the Diesels were carrying out Diesel 10's orders. Well, trying to. If the Diesels went after the small engines, the big ones would be there to stop them. And if they went after the big engines, they managed to elude their grasp.
Oh, Mavis.
What do you two want?
Nothing. We just happened by and,
Perhaps you'd like to go out with us tonight?
First of all, engines don't go out. And second of all, if they did, I wouldn't go out with either of you, even if my only options were you two creeps and the rest of your gang of steam engine haters.
But Mavis!
Splodge, why are you two flirting with that steamy-loving Diesel?
I'm not sure that flirting is the appropriate word for it.
Neither am I.
You're supposed to be catching steam engines. Now, back to work.
Yes, sir.
Now hold it. I claim right of way. And you, steamy lover, you can grab us a tank of fuel and bring it to Knapford Shed.
Needless to say, When the Diesels came back to Knapford, they were tired, battered, and disappointed. When Diesel came back, he found that after Mavis had put the fuel tank Diesel 10 demanded on the siding, she was in his shed. It was only to take over a shed that she obeyed Diesel 10's demand.
Splatter, Dodge, did you let her in?
No? But we approve.
Mavis, you are in my shed.
Well, Splatter is in mine, and the sheds that Diesel 10 and Dodge are currently residing in rightfully belong to Boko and Daisy, respectively.
What's going on here?
Oh, Diesel 10!
I told you to deliver a fuel tank, not start a rebellion in the process.
You won't get away with this forever.
Little brat. Diesel, I will not be the last engine to be in the sheds.
You didn't seem to mind being last when you first came.
When I first came, I thought we'd have the Chidmouth dwelling steamers gone within 24 hours of arrival. 3 days after arrival, and they're still here. And speaking of which, how can we catch them? They're at Chidmouth at night, and we're not able to catch them during the day. I know, they must all sleep somewhere at night. We'll just pick them up there. Let's go!
Dish.
Diesel 10's front wheels were all in the ditch, but he was still partly on the turntable, making all the diesels stuck.
How can things get any worse?
Just then, Toby arrived with Henrietta and some trucks. He stopped, observed the mess, and then hurried away.
Great. I'll probably tell everyone we're all stuck.
Yes, indeed, after Toby delivered his trucks. They parked Henrietta at the carriage yard. He ran straight away to Farquhar Sheds and told everyone there what had happened.
If the Diesels are all stuck, we won't be bothered by them for several days.
Meanwhile, Diesel was the only engine who could reach Diesel 10 on the jammed turntable, and he was working hard to pull Diesel 10 out. Diesel 10 helped as best he could with what wheels were out of the ditch. Diesel kept running out of fuel, and the fuel tank on the other siding was used a lot to refuel his tank. 3 days and nearly an empty tank of fuel later.
The lack of buffers is inconvenient.
Well, now I can pull you back on the rails.
After Diesel 10 pulled Diesel back on the rails, he went back into the shed. But just as he cleared the doorway, there was a sputtering sound.
What's happening? The dishwater has clogged my engine. Now I'm stuck.
What do we do now?
I know somebody from the past who can help. Mr. Boomer is his name.
Mr. Boomer.
Isn't he that motorcycle driver?
Yes, that's the one.
So how can he help?
He knows a few things about cleaning and repairing engines. And until he's here, you all stay put. Got it?
Got it.
Good.
So, Mr. Boomer arrived, and he wasn't alone.
Hey, Diesel 10.
Hey, Boomer. Who are these two?
These are my henchmen, Keith and Doug. They are much more helpful than your sidekicks.
How did you manage to find us?
Guys, how did we find them?
I don't know.
Technically, it's impossible.
So, anyway, how are things?
Not very good. I managed to find the lost engine. Oh, and I almost managed to catch her. And a little blue puffball, too. But they both managed to escape over a collapsing bridge. I did not fare so well. And Pidgey was worse off than I was. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I saw Stone a couple of years ago. He gave me directions to Billis Spring, a small town by Muffle Mountain, and that's where I met these two.
Oh yeah, I almost got stoned too. Same thing.
So apart from not being able to get the lost engine, how are things?
Positively rotten. Along with these guys have been trying to catch steamers. They keep slipping past us, and now the engine is clogged. Ditch water needs to be cleaned.
What happened?
I ran into that ditch.
Oh, kind of like that Galloping Blue Sausage did several years ago?
Yeah, pretty much.
Why does he pull the Express instead of some high-speed diesel?
Because old Fat has an attachment to the old tin pots who run the railway, along with some steamer-loving diesels, like the ones we kicked out of the shed.
Well, that's beside the point. Now it is time to get down to business. You mean you can fix Diesel 10's engine? Yes, along with Keith and Doug's help. But it'll take a few days.
I suppose we'll have to stay in the sheds while it's being repaired?
That's right.
Mr. Boomer and his henchmen worked hard, repairing Diesel 10. Meanwhile, the other Diesels had to wait. And wait. And wait. And wait. Until finally, 4 days later, in the evening...
It's done.
It is? At last. We'd better go soon. You think you can taste right to me. I may need you all again.
Thanks.
Okay, let's make up for lost time. The steam engines are sure to be off their guard. We've been stuck here a full week. The snow engine has been attacked for a full week. And I haven't seen that square cocoa-colored tin pot here since I first fell in the ditch. So now I'll attack tin machettes, and this time we won't be disappointed. Let's go and attack!
The Diesels hurried back to Tin Machettes. As they drew near, they heard whistling.
They have to be in the sheds now. Let's go get them!
They rushed towards the sheds. Diesel 10 rushed under the turntable, turned to Thomas' shed, and banged the doors open. And when he looked inside...
What? How can this be? This is impossible!
And he checked every shed, but no engines were in there. And even more surprised and disappointed, the Diesels returned to Knapford sheds.
This doesn't make any sense.
How can there be whistles in the sheds, but not engines?
It's beyond comprehension.
They were all very puzzled. The next night, the Diesels went to Tidmouth again, and the same thing happened. But this time, Diesel 10 checked every single shed thoroughly to find clues, like perhaps the steam engines were invisible, or a recorder of some sort was hidden in a corner. But there's no explanation. And for the 5th time, the Diesels left, and just like all the times before, they left disappointed. Soon everyone knew about the disappearing engines, including Toby. He wanted to know how the engines were there, but not there. He made a plan. That evening, Toby waited at the docks. Behind him was the key. It had sunken long ago, and the rail sloped into the sea. Presently, Diesel 10 arrived.
You little really useless should have been long gone long ago wooden teapot. You're spying on us. There's something to do with your fellow overcolored cattle never being at Tin Machettes. I know it. Before we attack Tidmouth again, I have a score to settle with you. Yeah! Hey! Whoa! Not again! Ooh. I'm not as deep in this time.
So, your way of getting even with Toby is taking a light dip.
That's not what I meant to do, and you know it. This going into water can't be good.
Well, Percy fell into the sea the way you did, and Gordon fell into a ditch the same way you did about a week and a half ago. But Sir Topham Hatt, or Fat Hat as you've rudely deemed him, doesn't approve of such plunges.
Diesel, Barry, watch!
Toby puffed quickly away. As he did so, he saw Airy, Bert, and Diesel pass again, heading towards the quay. Diesel 10 will be out sooner than he was last time. I'd better hurry. All the engines were at Tin Machettes when Toby hurried in at last. Oh good, you're all still here. You haven't vanished yet. I tricked Diesel 10 into going into the sunken quay, but he's not as stuck as before. And he's got 3 times as much help getting pulled at least. So I've bought some time, but not much. The Diesels may be here soon. So how do you guys keep disappearing? What's going on?
I think that, rather than telling you, we should show you.
With that, Thomas whistled once. Then Edward whistled once. Then Henry. Then Gordon. Then James.
Percy, just whistle once this time. Toby will provide the final whistle.
Got it.
Final whistle?
Now, Toby, whistle 3 times. You have a whistle, right?
Of course. Just because I usually use my bell doesn't mean I don't have a whistle. I'm not sure about this, though. Hey! What's happening? Whoa! Where are we?
We're on the turntable of Lady's Magic Railroad.
Wow.
Look, here comes Lady now.
You've all returned. I see Toby's here too. Is Diesel 10 after him also now?
Possibly. That's not why I'm here. I heard that these 6 kept vanishing at night, and I wanted to know why.
and we decided that instead of telling him, to show him.
So how did you manage this?
Well, when you told me about Diesel 10 and his gang being stuck, I wasted little time. First thing the next morning, I went right to the Magic Railroad and told Lady all about our predicament. She used her magic to make a connection from Tinmouth Sheds to the Magic Railroad.
We simply blow our whistles in numerical order with the last engine blowing his whistle 3 times.
Which is me, until this time, when you joined us.
So how do we know when it's safe to return to Tidmouth Sheds?
Lady can tell when the diesels are there, and once they've left, we get back the same way we came, whistling in numerical order.
Yes, and they're attacking right now, unsuccessfully.
I guess we didn't leave too soon.
Well, they're leaving. You can go back now.
When the diesels got back to Knapford, they were still puzzled.
How can 6 steamers just disappear?
Well, we've seen them during the day. That might be important.
Yeah, at least they haven't completely disappeared.
I think whistling that sometimes occurs before they disappear has something to do with it. Tomorrow, we'll all split up. Barry, Splodge, you can stay together in pairs. See if we can figure this out.
The next day, the diesel engines went all over Sodar, spying on the steam engines, trying to find out what the whistles had to do with it disappearing.
This diesel, he scrapped one, he scrapped steam, he's just for fun with a pinch, 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 in the car dome.
Oh, hi, Mavis.
What do you want?
Oh, well, we're just, following Diesel 10's orders.
And what else is new?
Well, we might be able to spend some time with you.
But you're supposed to be observing steam engine whistles, not flirting or whatever you wish to call it with steamer lovers. And this is the second time.
Yes, sir.
What a relief. And engines still don't go out.
That evening, the diesels returned to Knapford Sheds.
Found anything? Better luck tomorrow, I guess.
The next evening,
Found anything today?
Dodge and I noticed that the steam engines whistle just before they disappear.
And when they do whistle, they whistle in numerical order.
Do you think that means anything?
No.
Neither do I.
Spud! You just figured it out!
We did?
You two are geniuses!
We are?
They are? Of course! The puffballs whistle in numerical order, and then I disappear. Boomer!
Yes, do you need my and my henchman's service again?
Yes, tomorrow. Find a tape recorder, we'll record the steam engines whistling, and then we'll attack the shed. And this time, we'll finally have success.
Yes, sir. The gloves are off.
Do you get it?
No.
Neither do I.
the next day, Diesel 10 arrived at the site. Mr. Boomer and his henchmen were waiting.
Do you have the tape recorder?
Yes, right here.
Excellent.
Can we put my motorcycle in your cab?
Certainly.
Thanks. Boys,
Right away.
Diesel 10, Mr. Boomer, and his henchmen went across the island.
Got the whistles?
Yep.
Great, we have all we need. Back to Knapford.
Back at Knapford Sheds, the bad guys met.
Well, we've got all the whistles. Now we can attack Tinmouth Sheds and finally win!
Meanwhile, the steam engines were at Tidmouth Sheds, and Toby trundled in. Mind if I join you guys again?
Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go. Oh, lady, you're here already.
Yes, I decided to be ready to greet all of you. So, are things still alright, Toby?
Yeah, I just decided to come again. Meanwhile, the Diesels had arrived at Tidmouth Sheds.
Alright, you steamers. I don't know where you go, but if this works, I will know soon. And I'll be there. Boomer, the tape recorder. Ah! The Magic Railroad! And looky here! All Sonar steam engines! Here for the ones introduced in Season 65. At my mercy!
Would be if you had.
Yes, I love it! Oh! And when it seems things can't get any better, they do! The Lost Engine! Finally, after all these years, hopelessly trapped! Now I have you, and Sonar Steam is doomed! Ah ha 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 ha! What? Hey! I'm stuck! What's going on?
The turntable won't let anything evil that gets on it off it.
What?
Did I mention that the door of anything or anyone that's on the turntable won't open to evil either?
You have now.
And now, all four of you have lingered here and on Sodor too long. I say, be gone.
Whoa. There they go.
Well, now it's time to go back to Tidmouth Sheds. Toby, whistle once. I'll provide the last whistling.
So you're coming too?
Yes, I have some unfinished business there.
Okay. Meanwhile, back at Tidmouth Sheds.
Where did the boss go?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I don't have a clue. Whoa! Were you in the sheds all along? I'll take that as a no.
What happened to Diesel 10?
I sent that old warship and the 3 thugs aboard him away.
You mean Mr. Boomer and his henchmen?
Yes, they're gone.
Why are you working towards us?
Because you two are going where Diesel 10 is. And as for you 3...
No, don't send us there, Judge. We'll do anything.
Anything?
Yes!
Anything? Good. Then go. Find Mavis, Daisy, and Boko, and warmly welcome them back to Knapford Sheds.
Are you out of your mind? No, guys. We said we'd do anything to avoid being sent where Diesel 10 and the others are. Besides, we don't want to be sent wherever they are, and we know that she can't if we don't perform our end of the bargain.
So after getting turned around on the turntable, Diesel, Ari, and Bert went to find Boko, Mavis, and Daisy. Bert found Boko, Ari found Daisy, and Diesel found Mavis. And all of them were warmly welcomed back to Knapford Sheds. Meanwhile, back at Tidmouth.
Lady, were you ever actually planning on sending Diesel, Ari, and Bert away?
No, I was planning on telling them to bring Boko, Daisy, and Mavis back to Knapford all along.
So, lady, are Diesel 10, Splatter, Dodge, Boomer, and his henchmen all gone? As in...
Dead? No, they're all still alive, but they won't be getting back to Sodor easily, at least not on their own.
I'm glad we managed to find you, boss.
What about us?
Yes, you 3 too.
Where are we?
It looks like we're on the coast of some place.
There's a sign in front of you, boss.
Greymouth, New Zealand? That means we're as far from Sodor as we can get without leaving the planet.
So, what should we do, boss? See if the Trans-Alpine Express meets 3 diesels?
Or perhaps we could go dolphin watching.
I don't know. All I know is we won't be getting back to Sodor easily. He's not on our own.
So, with all that resolved, they returned to the Magic Railroad. Diesel, Ari, and Bert stopped complaining about Toby's constant visits or how run down Knapford Sheds were. New windows were added in, and that made the sheds look nicer. So now, once again, Daisy, Boko, and Mavis slept at Knapford Sheds. Toby could go to Knapford Sheds in peace, and Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, and Percy could sleep at Tidmouth Sheds without worrying about being attacked.
He's a really useful engine! 45 RPMs!
He's a really useful engine, you know. All the other engines, they'll tell you so. He huffs and puffs and whistles, rushing to and fro. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's a really useful engine, you know. 'Cause the Fat Controller, he told him so. Now he's got a punchline to call his very own. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's the one, he's the number one. Thomas the Tank Engine. He's the really useful engine we adore.
78 RPMs! Quarter step up with an echo!
He's a really useful engine, you know. All the other engines, they'll tell you so. He huffs and puffs and whistles, rushing to and fro. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's a really useful engine, you know. 'Cause the Fat Controller, he told him so. Now he's got a punchline to call his very own. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's the one, he's the number one. Thomas the Tank Engine. He's the really useful engine we adore.
And that's it.